In order to understand the everyday life of our ancestors and to trace the reality of life in days long past, archaeological finds are of immeasurable value. While some artifacts have helped solve some history mysteries, in other cases, it's been the other way around. From antique batteries to ancient airplane models to maps that shouldn't even exist, here are some mysterious finds that always raise new questions. Before we get started, be sure to hit the like button and ring the notification bell for more videos. Also, stick around till the end to learn about one of the strangest discoveries so far. Mysterious Mayan sculptures. Astronomers have now managed to track down more than 5,100 exoplanets, and yet there is still no trace of extraterrestrial life. Despite this, the pre-astronauts are convinced that the aliens really exist and that they were in regular contact with the ancients. This assumption should be supported by various archaeological finds and ancient texts. In the alleged Maya sculptures, whose images are currently circulating the internet, appear in the hotly disputed list of evidence. There is no question that the figures with their unusually large heads and oversized eyes are reminiscent of classic aliens. But how authentic are they? Allegedly, the discoverers of the mysterious objects were strictly forbidden to post the recordings on the internet. However, most users believe that we are simply dealing with the works of a modern artist. Birds of SAQQARA. It is 1898 when a strange artifact is unearthed during excavations in SAQQARA. Visually, the object is reminiscent of a bird, but it has strikingly straight wings. The tail also has a very unusual shape. For this reason, there is still speculation about the true background of the SAQQARA bird. Some researchers consider it conceivable that the figure actually depicts an ancient aircraft. Over the years, various scientists have dedicated themselves to testing the structure for its ability to fly. While some replicas are said to have actually managed to fly through the air, others immediately fell to the ground like a stone. Even apart from the airplane theory, it is unclear what purpose the more than 2,000-year-old object once served. The bird could once have adorned the mast of a sacred boat, been a wind vane, or functioned as a toy. Baghdad Battery. Equipped with a copper cylinder and an iron rod, the mysterious clay vessel could have served as a functional battery as early as 2,000 years ago. The problem, as far as we know, people didn't even know that something like electricity even existed. Whether this hypothesis can really be correct, and for what purpose the Baghdad battery would then have been used, remains an unsolved mystery. The object has been thought to have disappeared for some time. Shortly after the U.S. invasion of Iraq, the Iraqi National Museum fell victim to looters, and the Baghdad battery has never been seen since. Inexplicable paintings. The Visoki Dekani Monastery has been adorning its location in Kosovo since 1335. With its extraordinary architecture and its impressive works of art, the church is known far beyond the borders of believing Christians. However, if we take a closer look at one of the magnificent frescoes, an unusual detail catches our eye. At first, it seems to be just a depiction of the crucifixion. But what about the two figures on the upper left and right edge of the picture? In fact, these objects are vaguely reminiscent of spaceships, each carrying a passenger on board. In fact, many other ancient paintings also harbor such mysterious celestial bodies, including works by Ventura Salimbeni and San Giovannino, as well as an image that dates from the time of Charlemagne. Commonly, these details are interpreted as spirits or divine symbols, but others recognize them as extraterrestrial spaceships. Light bulbs from DENDERA. We can all understand that the ancient Egyptians didn't have the means of writing down history the same way that we do today. Because of this, most of the information about their culture and daily lives have been lost to time. However, it seems as though the Egyptians wanted to do everything within their power to ensure that their history would live on for as long as possible. To do this, they developed a complicated writing system that used images of common objects such as birds and other animals to document their history. These days, this writing style is referred to as hieroglyphics, and we've come a long way in understanding how this writing system works and have uncovered many stories that the writings relay. Though one of the most interesting stories to have been shared through hieroglyphics seems to show an ancient version of a light bulb that has, to this day, remained largely unsolved. The problem with images like that, as far as we know, the Egyptians would have no reasonable way to create a rudimentary version of a modern light bulb, though by all means the images and carvings that we have access to seem to show in perfect detail a depiction of a modern bulb. This has led some people to believe that otherworldly beings must have visited the ancient Egyptians and given them access to modern technology. These theories have been furthered by other drawings and historical documents that speak of gods and goddesses that may have once commingled with humanity. As far as we can tell, there is no definitive evidence of these, and many of these stories seem to be nothing more than hearsay, but we can't be so sure. It is because, according to researchers, the temple in which these carvings were found showed no evidence of soot on the walls or ceiling. This means that torches would not have been used in this area, or if they were, they would not have been used very frequently. So if this is the case, how would visitors have been able to see the rooms surrounding them unless they had access to some alternative form of light, possibly a light bulb? For now, we don't know for sure what these drawings could mean. After all, the drawings could depict an everyday object that would have been very common during ancient Egyptian times. In the years since, the object could have been lost to history and may have merely resembled a light bulb, rather than being a viable light source for the Egyptians. Hopefully, as time passes on, we will learn more about these drawings and what they truly predict. Though for the moment, we can't help but wonder if the ancient Egyptians may have had access to some ancient version of the modern light bulb. Non-Madal. It is an ancient architectural wonder that is still visible as the so-called Venice of the Pacific. The ruined city of Non-Madal stretches over 92 artificial islands. The foundation of what was once an important ritual center is formed around 250 million basalt stones, some of which weigh several tons and which have been carefully stacked on top of one another. How people managed to realize such an ambitious construction project hundreds of years ago is still a mystery. Piri Reis Map. In October 1929, Mustafa Kemal ordered Ataturk to carry out an inventory of the Ottoman Palace Library. In the course of this, an Old World map from 1513 was to be rediscovered, which simply did not fit into the period in which it was made. According to this, Admiral Piri Reis's map we see, among other things, a stretch of coast of Antarctica, even though the frosty land and sea areas at the South Pole were officially explored and explored only from the 1820s. No less puzzling is the fact that the map shows Antarctica as if it were not covered by ice. According to our current knowledge, however, this has not been the case for at least 6,000 years. Whether we one day uncover the true background of the Piri Reis card is still in the stars. NAZCA lines. Due to their massive dimensions of several kilometers in length, the full splendor of the Peruvian NAZCA lines can only be seen from the air. In detail, the centuries-old scratching pictures show us a wide variety of motifs, including people, birds, and whales, in addition to geometric shapes. There is still disagreement as to what purpose the geoglyphs once served. However, most researchers believe that the oversized drawings were closely associated with fertility rituals. Sahama lines. After learning about the NAZCA lines, you're probably beginning to realize just how strange ancient human history can be. Well, another set of similar lines was found, though these lines absolutely blow the NAZCA lines out of the water. These lines are called the Sahama lines and are typically between 1 and 10 feet in diameter and can be upwards of 11 miles in length, taking up an area of approximately 70,000 square feet. That's more than 15 times the size of the NAZCA lines. The main reason that these strange lines are so incredible is simply because of how straight they are. One would expect them to begin to curve or veer off of the path at one point or another. though for up to 11 miles these lines remain perfectly straight. Even stranger is that, even though these lines are absolutely incredible, no civilization is known to have laid claim to them. Their origins are completely unknown, but many believe that they could likely even be prehistoric and may have been created over the course of countless generations. While we may never know their true purpose, many believe that the lines have been used to guide pilgrims, mark burial sites, or they may possibly have some sort of astrological importance. We may simply never know. London Hammer. Visually, the London hammer is reminiscent of a typical American tool from the late 19th century. But then how is it possible that the artifact was found in a layer of limestone that dates back to the Cretaceous? Allegedly discovered in 1934 by a couple in London, Texas, the hammer represents absolute proof of the existence of time travel for some people. However, we should not forget at this point, the contradictory background of the find can also be explained from a scientific point of view. It also happens that old limestone forms a so-called concretion around an object in the course of a mineralogical process. Main penny. It's a simple little coin that gives experts a big headache. In fact, the Norwegian penny was once recovered from an old Native American settlement in the U.S. state of Maine. It is very likely that the coin was made around the year 1080 AD, and thus not only long after Chris Columbus officially discovered America, but also more than 50 years after the last Vinland voyage, of which the Nordic sagas tell us. Perhaps the coin testifies that the Vikings were in contact with Native Americans longer than previously thought. However, since only one coin was discovered in the region, other researchers believe the main penny made its way to its eventual location via a circuitous route. Antikythera mechanism. Discovered in 1900 in a shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera, the next find proves once again that we should not underestimate the abilities of our ancient ancestors. It is very likely that we are dealing here with a type of astronomical clock that was vastly superior to the devices of the Middle Ages and the early modern period in terms of complexity and precision. However, since the artifact is incomplete and no longer functional, its detailed analysis proves to be a very demanding undertaking. Until the mechanism of Antikythera was found, modern people would not have believed that the ancients were capable of such feats of engineering. ULFBERHT swords. What the dreaded Damascus steel blades were in the Orient were the legendary ULFBERHT swords in Europe. Accordingly, the weapons were significantly sharper, more stable, and lighter than the other swords of the early Middle Ages. The problem? We have no idea who originally developed the extraordinary forging technique. Current knowledge locates the roots of the weapons in a Frankish monastery. ULFBERHT could have been an abbot or bishop who was in charge of several workshops. Akambero figures. You really don't have to be a math genius to realize that modern humans and primeval lizards likely never have crossed paths. The background of the 33,000 Akambero figures that are allegedly discovered in Mexico in 1944 are therefore discussed all the more controversially. If these are really authentic artifacts and not modern fakes, we would have to rethink our previous worldview, because after all, many of these figures show beings that are clearly reminiscent of dinosaurs. KLERKSDORP spheres. They are around 3 billion years old, a few centimeters in size, and divide the experts into two camps. The mysterious KLERKSDORP spheres. Once found in some South American mines, the 200 or so small balls are accompanied by a central question. Are we dealing with natural structures here, or are we dealing with some artificial artifacts? The latter would shake our worldview to its foundations. As a result, billions of years ago, a highly evolved species would have lived on Earth, of which there is no trace today. What do you think of the exciting discoveries we've brought to you today? We are already looking forward to your comments. Show us with a like and a subscription that you enjoyed our detour into the world of extraordinary finds. And with that, thanks for watching, take care, and see you next time.